Now, the bandwagon, as they say, was getting heavy. Everyone started to jump on the bandwagon again.
Portland is not in a position to try to come back, and he should just kind of leave that alone.
Stop being satisfied with mediocre performances.
I don't like it. Plain and simple, I really don't like it. An all-star game just shows how much they just kind of continue to placate the players and their lackadaisical efforts on the court.
You really sparked my interest, and I'm sure that of many others. Alister, Albert, thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. I am, of course, Alister Albert, and we have with us, as usual, Orane Buchanan over in Jamaica. Nice, sunny Jamaica, yellow background that just fits the sunny disposition of the island, and I'm in the darkness approaching in the UK. That's the difference we have going on, but it's great to be able to come in together on a remote feed, you know, talking basketball as we do as usual. So yeah, Orane, you had a good week? All good?
Yeah, man, everything's good. What's this, episode 5?
Yeah, man, yeah, episode 5. We had some really good chats up to this point. You know, we've spoken about everything that I think that has come up in the NBA that has been trending, and you know, and I think we're going to continue doing that straight away. I think you could see, viewers, we're on a basketball jersey theme today. I have the old 2021 Phoenix jersey of Chris Paul, who has been, of course, in the news the last couple of hours, and you have your Charlotte Hornets. You know, is it LaMelo Ball? Is it
LaMelo Ball, but representing Hornets, where you know CP3 made his name.
So we syncing up in that sort of way in terms of franchises that he's played for, and yeah, we'll just go straight off into that. But of course, before I even get into the topics of the day, just want to remind everyone that we are on Apple Podcasts right now. We go on and Spotify, YouTube. If of course you want to listen to the podcast and you know do it audio only, your opportunities to do that are of course with Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and of course you could get viewing capabilities on YouTube. Also on Spotify as well. I've uploaded a video file on there rather than just audio. So if you know, however you want to listen to us, you could get it on those platforms as usual. So of course, like we said, CP3, Christopher Emmanuel Paul, his full government name there for you. 21 seasons in the NBA. I think we came into the season where he said that, you know, it potentially be the last season, and I think he called it and made it official yesterday with a post where, you know, he talked about him returning to North Carolina and to play the Charlotte Hornets, and you know, him, you know, calling it his last time playing at home there. You know, what do you think about CP3 calling for his retirement, Orane? You know, he's been such a guy who's been a fixture in the league. You call him the point guard. You know, what do you think about his career and, you know, him calling time on it right now?
CP3, as he's affectionately known, is a NBA great. I mean, the argument of is he a first ballot Hall of Famer, is he a second ballot Hall of Famer, will always come up because of his championships, lack of championships.
Yeah.
If we have to go down that route, would Charles Barkley be classified as a all-time great? Is Allen Iverson an all-time great? Is Russell Westbrook an all-time great? I mean, there are so many ifs in this regard. I know the popular saying when it comes to if was a if, we all be drunk.
Yeah.
But Chris Paul, in my opinion, is an all-time great. When you're looking at someone that is second all-time in assists, only trails John Stockton. Second in NBA history in steals, trails John Stockton again. I mean, if you look on his career and where he's played, has Chris Paul made every team better where he went? Yes.
Absolutely.
And if we have to backtrack a little bit, I mean, remember the 2010-2011 NBA season? Chris Paul came this close in joining the LA Lakers, who were coming off of back-to-back championships.
That trade.
For those who don't remember, let me remind them. The proposed trade at that time was Lakers would receive Chris Paul, the Rockets would receive Paul Gasol, and the Hornets would receive Lamar Odom, Lucas Scola, Kevin Martin, Goran Dragic, and the 2012 first round. Now, that trade was vetoed by the league, was owned by the NBA at the time. In David Stern,
yes, it was.
Yeah, David Stern was the NBA commissioner at the time. He said, no. When they pressed him about why he stopped that trade, vetoed was the correct term at the time in this regard. He said it was basketball matters. That was the most we heard on that trade. Why it stopped? And I think the league was scared at the time, in my opinion, to bring Chris Paul on that LA Lakers, fresh off back-to-back championships. This is what you'd have given Kobe Bryant at the time. You'd have had at the guard, you'd have Chris Paul and Kobe at the guard. You'll have Meta World Peace, Lamar Odom at the forward position, and a young Andrew Bynum at the center position. Tell me which team in the NBA at that time would have defeated the LA Lakers?
Let me tell you something.
That would have been 3 straight for Kobe Bryant.
Let me tell you something. When that trade happened, before the veto came out and David Stern said, nope, that's not happening, I was furious. I have not been a Lakers fan for most of my career, most of my basketball time, being a fan and everything. I was furious. The same way when Dwight Howard got traded today, I was furious. And just thinking about what Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and those boys could have done in 2004, I was furious. I was like, this is just going to give these guys, and Kobe Bryant specifically, the advantage, like you say, where, just nobody could stop them. You have that amount of skill on one team, that amount of skill, willpower, hunger, and everything coming together, that would have that competition would have been done. So what we saw, in the early 2010s with the Golden State Warriors, where Stephen A. Smith always says it was a foregone conclusion what would happen at the end of the year. That's what that team would have absolutely been. So yeah, that was a time, man. That was a time.
I mean, Chris Paul in his entirety is just a standout player for me. I mean, if we're on the team of ifs, the Rockets, what if Chris Paul didn't get injured? The 2018 Western Conference Finals, when he blew his right hamstring, they were up. They were leading the Golden State Warriors. He missed part of Game 5. He missed Game 6, Game 7. The Warriors came back, won those 2 games, went to the NBA Finals and won. I mean, there are a lot of ifs when it comes to Chris Paul. I just think he's just unfortunate to have. Well, he's going to end his career without a ring, in my opinion. I mean, this Clippers team is going nowhere. So it's just championship less. But for his individual stats, I mean, Chris Paul, he's there with the top players in the NBA. Another if, the Suns. Look at the Phoenix Suns before Chris Paul came. They missed the playoffs from 2011 to 2020.
Yep.
Chris Paul came, 2 seasons he spent, NBA Finals, and the other season they got the best record in the NBA.
Yep.
Everywhere this guy has gone, he's made them much better than they were the previous year. We saw how instrumental he was with Wemby last year with the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, this guy's an all-round, he's a bona fide all-star. I mean, it's just that it's coming to an end, and it's just sad for me, sad for the league that we're going to use a player like this one.
Yeah, man, it's sad for him, and when players like that at that level of that caliber call it quits, we have everyone's waiting to see what the impending decision with LeBron would be as well. When players of that caliber, when Kobe left, when Jordan left, when Kevin Garnett left, when Allen Iverson finished off, when players of that caliber decide to retire, a lot of basketball fans just reflect on watching these guys through their career, growing up with them in some instances, and then thinking, damn, what else can we see coming on from players after that? Who's going to take that mantle and everything again? But I think coming back to what you started off the conversation with in terms of whether or not he's a first or second ballot Hall of Famer, I think absolutely he's first ballot Hall of Famer. This guy has produced, like you said, second in the league in all time in steals and assists. 12-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defensive Player. This guy has accumulated a career that many would dream of, even if it doesn't have a ring. But culminating, of course, with his stint with the Phoenix Suns, where he got to the NBA Finals, and disappointingly, I remember being on Sportsmax, talking about this with the guys in the panel, and we were trying to predict who was going to win, and I called for the Bucks to win, and I felt so disappointed to make that prediction. I was correct with the prediction, but thinking about Chris Paul ending up as ringless, was just like, wow, man, another thing. And what's been trending on social media recently is, whether or not having him on your team is bad luck, in terms of injuries that, has happened to him and keeping going out. We have, of course, Kawhi Leonard, who is a perpetual state of bad luck, and everything that's happening there with them. But, like you say, any team he's been on, he's elevated that team. There's a term that the guys in the NFL use called a force multiplier. Chris Paul is a force multiplier. Wherever he goes to, everybody gets better. The team elevates, and whatever they were before, they were not that anymore. Look at the rise that the OKC Thunder have since he left that team. That one season he spent there, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just went from not just being a scorer, but to a leader, and he was being able to lead his team. Got them to the finals. He's a champion now, and they're like one of the model franchises based on their success after Chris Paul has left. I'm not going to say that, to give him all the credit for that, but, he was instrumental in helping to build a leadership culture that Shea has now taken on and kind of taken with him. So, we just wanted to start off with that, because, pay tribute to a guy who, like we say, is the point guard. There's a specific podcast. One thing I want to mention, I don't know if you listen to the Dan Le Batard show in Miami. Stugatz, who's the co-host, has him in his book, his record book, he calls it, and you say, calls him overrated because he doesn't have a ring. And of course that's all tongue in cheek, poking fun at the fact that he doesn't have a ring. But I think even Stugatz himself will say that this is a guy who has been a quintessential point guard. I say in the history of the game, quintessential point guards, if you think about what the truest definition of a point guard is, Chris Paul is in the top 5 all time. We have John Stockton, who we said he's behind in assists. We have Jason Kidd, we have Magic, you have Steve Nash, you have CP3. That's my top 5 of quintessential point guards. Quintessential in the sense that these guys could score, but they're pass first guys, and they make their team better. It's the end of his career. Of course, all of the commercials, the adverts, State Farm, Jordan Brand, is a key part of the Jordan Brand team with Michael Jordan, under his endorsement there. And hats off, salute to him. I hope he goes off into the sunset being respected as an all-time great. I think that's the main thing. I
think we need to cross some lines when it comes to certain things. Certain players are not championship. It's not like Chris Paul was a passenger in all of those teams. I mean, Chris Paul at his prime, or in his prime, was always the bus driver.
That's it.
I mean, we're not that guy that was second, third. As I said before, everywhere Chris Paul has played, he's made them better. The Clippers,
just to stop you there. Just to stop you there, for better or for worse, in terms of what you mean, bus driver, the team goes and rises and falls with him. So if he's injured, the team then collapses, or if he's really good, he get to the finals or whatever that it is. So you're absolutely right, and I just wanted to kind of continue that point for you.
And one more thing, and I think it was Jay-Z who said, "Men lie, women lie, numbers don't." Even though men are like numbers. 45 games played together with James Harden at Houston Rockets, 42 wins, 3 defeats in that stretch of 45 games.
That's it.
Everywhere he's made them, and as he perfectly said a while ago, it's a swing. When he's there, they elevate. When he leaves, they deflate. And the numbers don't lie in his favor.
That's it. So, he goes off into the darkness, into the retirement. He hangs up his Jordans. He will be a Hall of Famer, first ballot. There's absolutely no one, I think, who could replicate his game in this today's game. I think everyone is now wants to be a combo guard, wants to shoot the ball from the logo and everything. No one concentrates on passing the ball, be a pass first point guard as much as he is, and it's going to be, you know, empty at the point guard position in the NBA moving forward until we see the next iteration of Chris Paul coming up in this league. So that's it for this first topic. You know, Chris Paul on the way out, and we're now going to move into the second element of that. Well, the team that he's currently on, the Los Angeles Clippers. They right now are 12th in the East at 5-11. Lost the last 10 games that they played, they've been 2-10. James Harden had a crazy night a couple of nights ago. Kawhi Leonard is supposed to be coming back today for his game, you know, only playing 6 games so far for the season. Man, the Clippers, every single time a season is about to start, I'm like, whenever I do my little predictions, I do my little power rankings, I have the Clippers somewhere right at the top because on paper, that's a really strong team. You have Kawhi Leonard, you had Paul George, you got James Harden, you brought in, you know, you had Lou Williams, you have Ivica Zubac, you have all these guys on those teams. And on paper, you think, yo, this is going to be an amazing team if they could stay healthy. This season, I think we're starting to see the bottoming out of the Clippers with Chris Paul now, who's on the team that he kind of brought a level to success to. What do you think about the Sixers? The Clippers this year? Because I think this is a defining season for them where they're probably going to have to blow this thing up. I don't see how they could move forward with what this roster is. They're considered the oldest team, you know, currently in the NBA with, you know, guys over 35, loads of guys like that. We have Bradley Beal, who was brought in there last season, in the off season, who is now out for the season with a season-ending injury. What do you think this Sixers, why do I keep on saying Sixers? The Clippers, you know, the Sixers have just as much of bad luck as the Clippers as well. You know, what do you think about this team? How do you see them going forward? Do they blow this up? Do they keep it together? It's crazy. What do you think?
Listen, man, Steve Ballmer, he has money to waste. Jamaica would say Steve Ballmer has money to stone dogs. So he can do whatever he wants. I think this season should be the last of this current crop. They're going nowhere. I mean, good luck if Clippers even make the playoffs. I mean, now with the different changes they have to play in, possibly they could make the playoffs. But the Clippers, I think they're good enough to make the playoffs via the play-in.
Right.
And I think that would be their ceiling. I don't see this Clippers team passing, say, the first round of the Western Conference. I mean, they're just not for me.
Even if healthy, you think they won't be able to make it past the first round?
Even if healthy, there are too much things happening in the background. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you're playing tonight. You don't know if Kawhi Leonard is going to be fit. Even if Kawhi Leonard is fit, you don't know what kind of Kawhi Leonard. You don't know what kind of claw is going to play. I mean, it's just frustrating to play alongside a guy like Kawhi Leonard, and it's frustrating because you know when healthy, mentally and physically, Kawhi Leonard is one of the best two-way guys in the league, easily.
Yeah.
And then you'll come tonight, he'll give you 45, 22. Next night, he'll give you 10 points, 10 assists. And then night 3, you hear that Kawhi Leonard is out for 4 months due to some mysterious injury or illness. I mean, there's no cohesiveness with this LA Clippers. Woo! From Sixers to Lakers. But there's no cohesiveness with the Clippers team. And I just think that this is their season. Make it to the play-in, get to the playoffs, and then first round exit for me. I don't see this team causing any real problem in the West one. James Harden is going to do what James Harden does. I mean, come on, he'll be a torn on the offensive end, but that's it for me. I don't see them causing any real problem.
Yep. I agree with you, and I think this is a team but when you talk about the definition of fool's gold, boy, you have some big name players on there, and you know they just continually disappoint. I think the Clippers have been the definition of fool's gold the last 5-6 seasons, where you had guys which you think that boy, if they're healthy, things will be great for them. They'll be able to change the franchise's fortunes around. They moved into their new arena, the Intuit Dome, getting away from the Lakers. They were able to set their own path and chart their own path in history. And then this season, coming into the season, we have Pablo Torre and his podcast that found out about the aspiration deal and whether or not they circumvented the cap to kind of bring Kawhi Leonard in 2019. So this level of just bad luck for the Clippers has just circled them for quite some time. Now, you said something about Steve Ballmer in terms of, boy, this man had money to waste. But you know who I'm going to point the finger on? Lawrence Frank. Now, Ty Lue has a little bit of to take with this, because in 5 seasons with the Los Angeles Clippers as their head coach, they got to the Western Conference Finals once, they missed the playoff once, and they've exited 3 times in the first round. That is not what you expect from a championship caliber coach, which many people have the utmost respect for in Ty Lue. But we'll come back to him in a little bit. I think Lawrence Frank, when you think about that definition of insanity, where you do things all the time the same way and expect a different result, I think he needs to try to take a look in the mirror. And I'm not sure if it's a situation where Steve Ballmer just really really trusts him and everything. But I think his executive record, the only thing he really has to speak of is 2019, when he got Executive of the Year, when he was able to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the same team. After that, it's been, yes, he's plugged some gaps here and there with some really good players, but I think the main thing is he's stuck with a core that has shown multiple times are not able to get over the hump where they need to get to. And I think he now needs to change course. And if he's not able to do that with the trade deadline coming up and this offseason, I think Steve Ballmer needs to cut bait and be like, you know what, the same way he cut bait with that aspiration, that deal, and you say they basically frauded him. I think Lawrence Frank has frauded Steve Ballmer as well in terms of team construction and being able to get away from a team construction ideology that just has not worked. I think it's time to blow it up. Yeah, it's time to blow it up. This season, I don't know what really they're going to look for. I think Ty Lue, every time I think about Ty Lue on that team, I think of a guy who's tired. I think of a guy who came in with great expectations and, hopes and desires as to what this team could be. And every time, has been disappointed with injuries that have come up every now and then. So, I think it's time for them to cut bait. The only thing I would say is, if they were to keep anyone on that team, you had to try to get people through the turnstiles. You had to kind of be able to sell merchandise and everything. And I think James Harden has, kind of revitalized his career. Maybe keep him. Keep Ivica Zubac as someone who has become homegrown and has become loved and consistent. He's probably one of the most consistent centers in the league at this point. Maybe keep him, work around these 2 players, and try to bring role players that kind of work around him. Because I don't see James Harden moving over to another team and being able to assimilate. I think he needs his own team, being the man. He's at home in LA, where he's from. He's homegrown talent, and I think he really appreciates what Steve Ballmer did from him, getting him out from the situation that he was with the Sixers and Daryl Morey, that toxic environment that it became with the Sixers, bringing him over to the place he wanted to be. And I think he'll probably do good there with a team built around him. He's showing he's still capable, but I don't think we necessarily need to rely on him as being the man, because he himself has had quite a lot of playoff bad luck. I don't think you could rely on him alone. But it's time to kind of get rid of Kawhi Leonard and get rid of Nicholas Batum and definitely get rid of Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal needs to kind of think about retirement really seriously, because I don't think there's anything left for him moving forward.
Bradley Beal is slowly becoming a poison.
Yeah, it's such a shame. It's such a shame, guys with such talent and showing within their prime how elite they could be. But we're starting to see what Father Time could do to people, which makes you kind of appreciate LeBron, I suppose, in a certain way, because this guy has played for however long as he has, 23 seasons, and still playing at an elevated level. And these guys, to this level, are continually faltering, and their wheels are falling and everything.
Agree. I think the only person, as you said, that they should really keep and really surround players with is James Harden. I mean, he's still showing that he has it in him. That through the leg step back three is still there.
Man.
offensive. He's an offensive threat, and people will pay their hard-earned money to come and see James Harden play. I mean, he still can get people to buy tickets to come into an arena. So I think James Harden is the man they should keep. And I mean, we're saying Kawhi Leonard, but if Kawhi Leonard should go, I mean, where does Kawhi Leonard fit in at this juncture in his career?
It's a good question. It's a good question. You know, there are teams
Where does Kawhi Leonard play?
There are teams that could probably that could definitely do something with him, but again, it's health. And which teams will want to take that risk in bringing him in and giving assets up to get him? Which is the next problem? You know, I could see him fitting. You know, maybe nicely with somebody like Giannis, or maybe bringing him to a place like, you know, where else could you think it? Because he's such a gravitational player as well, in terms of when this guy is healthy. Many people compared him, and I did that for a while as well. When this guy is on his game and healthy, he looks, you could just see shades. Just squint, put yourself in a dark room and just imagine. You could see shades of Michael Jordan. This guy is such a great player, defensively, offensively, and what he could do, the fadeaways, you know, how clutch he has tended to be. But he's just been so disappointing in terms of just availability. And that's such a great thing. And it kind of puts the Clippers in a bad situation where trying to get equitable compensation for moving him is not going to be easy. But I think this is where Lawrence Frank needs to put the big boy pants on and make a decision to kind of break this team up, because I don't think it's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And Lawrence Frank, if he wants to save the future of the franchise,
needs to make a decision and make it fast.
You need to make a decision and move across now. And of course, now I think one of the last couple of topics we want to talk about, we kind of just mold these two together. You're talking about the MVP. Of course, you know, it's a really early part of the season. We're still under 20 games. We haven't even reached Christmas yet. We haven't reached the All-Star game yet. But, you know, we've seen such lovely performances from players across the league. And the person I wanted to spotlight here, but this is part of the whole MVP conversation, is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic, again, is having an outstanding season where he's just putting up insane triple-double numbers. He's averaging a triple-double at the moment. You know, 55 points, 60% shooting from the field across all the games so far. The Nuggets are 12-4, second in the West behind the OKC Thunder, behind the other MVP candidates in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What do you think about Jokic, man? You know, I think he's definitely just continuing to climb that ladder as an all-time great in the center position. And, you know, he's just continually making his team a threat. And some news that just came in today, Aaron Gordon, who's going to be out for about 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring strain. So now even more offensive responsibility will be taken on by Jokic. So what do you think about him so far this season, and where do you see the Nuggets kind of maybe going as we go along?
Man, when we were discussing the topics, I tried my best to agree with you. But nah, this is a report.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about it.
For me, my MVP at this juncture is SG.
All right. Okay.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let me call out 3 numbers to you. 32. That's how much points per game he's averaging.
Yeah.
5. That's his rebounds. 6. That is how many assists he's averaging so far. So that's 32, 5, and 6.
Yep.
The OKC Thunder, 16-1. Defending champions. For those who are watching and listening, 16-1, top of the West. And it's not all the numbers, because numbers don't always tell you the full story.
That's it.
I mean, this is what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing. He has sat out 9 of his team's 16 fourth quarters. Just think about that.
Fair enough.
9 of his 16 games so far, he sat out the fourth quarter, averaging 32, 5, and 6. This guy is in slow motion right now.
Yeah.
Either slow motion or first gear. This guy is getting his job done. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, done. On the bench, pretty close. Pull over his head. Hand straws.
Efficiency.
I'm ready for tomorrow night. This guy is in slow motion. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is making the game look simple. It's like a grown man playing alongside boys on an NBA court. SJ is on a different level right now. And I mean, I admire the numbers Jokic has been putting up for Denver. I admire the numbers Doncic has been putting up for LA Lakers. But for me, It's night and day between SGA and the rest of the league, right?
And
This
that's fair
guy's
enough.
he's in first gear.
Mm-hmm.
He's in first gear. I mean, if you watch him, like he's in no haste to get the job done. This is when you remember all the former greats, all the former MVPs of the league. Just think about them in their prime. That's what separates them, the good from the great. So think about LeBron James in his MVP years. Yes, Steph Curry. This is what these guys have done in their MVP season. Get to where they want to with relative ease.
Yeah.
So I'm coming down the court, Alister, and I want to pull up jump shot 32 feet. I'm going to get there. I don't even need a screen. Just probably give me a quick pin down, come across the lane, boom. I don't need a screen. I don't need a one-man or a two-man screen. Okay, I have a mismatch. I am coming down, crossing over, boom, boom, jump shot, turn my back, and this guy is on a different level right now. And I mean, you always hear the word aura when it comes to SGA. There's a silkiness about his game right now that he's reminding me of a 2001 Allen Iverson.
All right. Okay. Right.
That is what he's bringing me back to, that fearlessness with relative ease. And for me, SGA is leading from.
I've seen that comparison. I've seen the Allen Iverson comparison in terms, where he goes in and tries to put in from mid range and everything. The type of way that he gets to the basket, getting fouled, etc. I've seen that comparison, and I don't disagree. I think SG has been another tremendous player. For the last couple of seasons. Let's give him a shout out from the Caribbean heritage. He's from has some roots from Antigua and Barbuda. His parents from the Caribbean. So we trying to spotlight guys from the region, and has that connection as well, of course, playing for Canada, but Antigua and Barbuda roots. SG has been phenomenal. I'm not going to lie about it. There's a stat that came up that was really interesting. If SGA continues at the way that he's going, and there's no reason to believe that he wouldn't, he'll average over 30 points a game this season. He will join the list of greats that have averaged 30 points per season consecutively. He would be joining guys like James Harden, Bob McAdoo, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar only. The other players who've averaged more than that has been Oscar Robertson, who averaged 30 points a game for 4 consecutive seasons. And then you have Michael Jordan and Will Chamberlain with 7 consecutive seasons. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if he continues on the trajectory that he is, which I don't believe there's any reason to believe that he wouldn't, he will be joining an elite group of players who have averaged 30 points a season for 3 consecutive seasons, beating guys like Allen Iverson himself, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry, who have had only 2 seasons consecutively where they've averaged 30 points a game. I'm not gonna disagree with that one, to be totally honest with you. He's done something which I think is remarkable in being able to capture the ring last year. And most people say sometimes you win a championship and there's a championship hangover. He's playing without Jalen Williams as well. The team is just humming. No one could stop them. 16-1 in the West, first in the league and everything. And I think he's done remarkable. I think that the note with Nikola Jokic is, and I think what really makes him stand out is we've never seen a center like him with the all-round skill set that he has. And I think that's where I tend to lean towards him where that is concerned, because he's not a defensive center. We know that. You could run past him. You could get past him. He's not a guy who's going to block and deter at the rim, but someone who could shoot, rebound, assist like he has. We've never seen a center with that package of skills and doing it at that dominant level for the across the history of the league, basically. So I think that's where my spotlight with Jokic comes in. But I am not even going to try to argue the SGA point, because what he's done, I was a little bit initially with SGA, I was like, listen, this is a guy who could just put up points. He's a scorer, he's a gunner, but where is he really going to take you? When coming to that point that we started off with Chris Paul, he got that tutelage from Chris Paul and everything, and I think his career has just kind of gone on from there. He's averaged 30 points a game. When Chet Holmgren was drafted into league a couple of years ago, I thought Chet Holmgren was the key to unlock the OKC Thunder because he brought that defensive and offensive skill that unlocked and opened up the lanes for Shea to be able to do what he did. And I don't think they made the playoffs that year when Chet came in. Or I'll correct that if I'm incorrect here. But I thought Chet, to me, was really valuable to that team because we had seen Shea average 30 points a game before and the team not really go anywhere. And then fast forward to last season where, they just put it all together. Credit to Mark Daigneault, the coach of that team, who has been able to get them to gel and use the skills complementary to kind of unlock them to do what they're doing right now. And, they got their championship, and these guys are just showing you that, last season was no fluke, We're coming here to kind of put those Houston Rockets that have been put together with Kevin Durant, Lakers and Luka and LeBron, we're ready for you. The Clippers, we don't even need to think about you guys because you guys can't even get on the court. Wemby, bring it on. Chet and Wemby, this is going to be an all-time battle continuing on in the history of the NBA. These two guys who play, such a dynamic brand of basketball from the center position. I think the OKC Thunder, like you say, are just skyrocketing with Shea leading them all the way. And they could be title contenders again this year, going all the way to the finals and probably be a repeat champion, which we thought we would have seen with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. We're getting it now in this version with SGA leading the way. So
and it's crazy because it's just crazy. Like for me, it's harder to repeat than win a one-time championship because not a lot of planning or say writings on the boards will be on the OKC Thunder. But after last season where they won the NBA championship, a lot of teams now will be saying, all right, this is how we are going to approach them. And it hasn't worked. After 17 games, it hasn't worked. I mean, teams are still struggling to contain them. How do we stop their offense? And for me, the OKC Thunder, they tick every single box.
They have. They really
every single box. I'm still struggling to find a weakness with this team.
We do. And with 1 minute left, we're going to wrap up here basically. But, I think, we have quite a lot to look forward to this season. Like we said, we're just under 20 games. A lot of things are still shaping up. The other person in the MVP conversation that I wanted to bring up when I had my strong take last episode about Cade Cunningham, he's in the MVP conversation at this moment right now. Let's see how much he is able to push through this team. I say the finals. I might be totally wrong about that, but we'll see. But, Orane, thank you for coming in on this, lovely Sunday, Caribbean sunny Sunday, talking about this, and we're going to just wait to see what happens. I think these topics will carry us on into next week where, we've got quite a lot to discuss as the season moves forward. Kawhi Leonard is coming back and so much to look forward to. So, guys, Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere you could get us. Go check it out. You're going to enjoy what we do and continue to follow, join the family, and support what we do. Orane, catch you next time, man.
Not a problem, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. From the hardwood floor to the spotlight glow, breaking down the stats every fan should know. Trace, place, legends in the making, every headline, no mistaking. Fast breaks, crossovers, highlight reels. What's real strategy, what's hype and feels? East to west, we call it straight from draft night buzz to finals fade. Baseline to baseline, we cover it all. Big plays, bold takes the rise and the fall. Baseline to baseline, where passion is prime. Your NBA breakdown every single time. Baseline to baseline, we cover it all. Big plays, bold takes the rise and the fall. Baseline to baseline, where passion is prime. Your NBA